Hello, hello,
Hi.
Studio 108 family and friends. Yeah, we cannot wait to get started today. We're like bubbling giddy, Lisa.
We're bubbling giddy, but for me, stress too. We were supposed to tape this yesterday, and I sent Tracy a message going, I'm having a meltdown. So I'm like, we have to reschedule. I'm having a meltdown. So if you have been feeling this build up of emotion, this feeling of I'm on the brink of a meltdown, join the club, because that, we can start feeling that sense of angst and anxiety, that sense of, oh my gosh, something's ending. I mean, you can start to feel that in your body, and we immediately go to the ending's bad.
Yeah, we immediately want to think the ending's bad, but I mean, I guess for me, that's the sense of excitement we feel is that, oh my gosh, you guys, we're all feeling this. We're all uncertain. It seems like it's coming from every direction. It seems much more intense than the waves we're used to. It's like if you all of a sudden, like after surfing off the West Coast, you went to that really special place in Hawaii where the waves are tremendous. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're huge. And the excitement of they're so big, but the excitement of they're so big.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like we have a lot to say. Lisa has a lot to say.
I do have a lot.
Terms.
I do have a lot to say, but I wanted to say, on the heels of that, I wrote this thing about, people say, well, just let go and trust. And, right, get excited, get giddy. But I think sometimes, like for me, yesterday, when I'm in the midst of an emotional meltdown, that whole like surrender, going, wait a minute, I can't get giddy. I'm treading water. Like I feel like I'm drowning. How do I let go? And just
really hard.
It is. And just to be, I think, awareness is everything. Just kind of knowing that.
Okay, I'm not alone. Okay, I'm actually safe.
Yes.
I just don't.
And
see yet.
I can produce my own life jacket, right? My own surfboard. I can do that. And that's kind of, where we are heading. What I have done is kind of what we're looking at right now is we have this.
Turn it over so you can see.
Oh,
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Okay, so if you are on Spotify, Apple, what I'm showing here is just the natal chart of right now. And so Lisa's looking at, where is it? Point to the Taurus.
I'm looking at that, yeah.
This little quandary right here, and look directly across. Ooh.
Yeah, so
Oof.
I put it, what I've done is I put it in whole sign. So I put Aries at the ascendant, and the inner wheel of what I'm looking at is this build up of planets that I feel like we're all starting to feel, right? We're all starting to feel the source of tension build, because we have Mars there, we have the North Node there. So we know that with these nodal connections, there's something fated around it. There's something that's moving us forward on our path, because right, that's where we're meant to grow, is at our North Node.
Yeah, fated as in purposeful, as in dharmic, as in we're going somewhere. There's a journey here.
Absolutely. We have Mars there. So maybe this would be your giddiness and excitement. But Mars is like sometimes like a pressure cooker too, and Uranus is there. There's a surprise. There's almost can be a sense of volatility around it, right? In astrology, when you have Mars and Uranus connections, we call it like the accident prone, because there's something surprising. So we're acting. Accidents happen when we act and respond and don't think through things, right? So there is this area of our life that we may not be thinking through. Things are kind of bubbling up. It's gonna get hot, it is gonna get hot. And there is this source of tension, I keep calling it tension, because Saturn is squaring it. So to me, we talked about Saturn the last time I was here, and there's so many lessons with Saturn.
Just give a couple words. Saturn, like structure,
responsibility. It can, Saturn in the chart, we're working really hard as well, where that Saturn placement is, but we also can feel a sense of limitation as well.
It's square, it's like this.
Right. When it's square, it's creating tension, is what it's doing. It's going, okay, you want me to move forward. Everything is busted the seams, and we're going to move forward. And Saturn's like, but it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel like it's natural, maybe, right? Because it's not a trine where it kind of just like easily flows into it. There's something stuck. So where that stuck energy is, I think is also important, because I think that it's important to reflect on where that source of tension is coming from. I have kind of gone through like a little list, if you have your ascendant, to be able to find where that Saturn is and where, you know, we're supposed to be moving is, to be mindful of it as a whole. Why I think it's really important is because as this starts to build up this week, my chart is for July 31st, August 1st. I think those are going to be about the hottest times of this energy. I think that we're already starting to feel it build. But the November eclipse, even though it's at 16 degrees Taurus, that's 2 degrees off of this build up of energy. So that November eclipse is really going to say, pow, now.
The November eclipse is a lunar eclipse.
It is going to be a lunar eclipse.
So that will be a definitive ending.
It'll be endings, right, to move us forward. And you know, Scorpio, Taurus, the big signs, you know, we've had our, it's our time. You know what I mean? It's our time. We all are participate in these cycles. And it is our cycle. You know, I'm a Scorpio and I'm an 8th house Scorpio, and you know, and everybody has their own chart and how they feel things and how they process things. So if you're starting to feel that emotional kind of like drowning stuck, notice it, pay attention to it. If you're in that language of trauma, you know, those things that we talk about in yoga class about breathing into the deep tissues, I call them stories, right into the cells. There's something, whatever it is, it needs to be released. We know it astrologically, we can feel it in our bodies.
It's so tough because sometimes those stories have a specificity to it. They're like about something, but the trigger to the story can be in anything.
Yes.
Okay, so like the
sure.
story might be about X, Y, and Z, but your trigger could be a K or an L or a B or like anything. So when everything just gets so hot and intense and unpredictable, which is right now, for the next couple weeks, it's easy for anything really to hit those tender spots.
Agree. And pay attention, because we should all start to notice what's coming, right? Where this big upheaval, shock, move forward is starting to come into play. So,
and also like you talked about the North Node and like where we're going. And I know we talked earlier about like the healing process. And so this whole sequence of events, like these whole currents that are coming through, can carry us forward into a place of healing.
Absolutely. And we're looking at, so I did go with trauma because it is Scorpio. So it can, you know, it has that deep kind of like undercurrent. And the area of our life or the area of our chart as we're growing it is Taurus. It's releasing that emotional security and redefining what comfort security is, what that means, you know, to us. It's the I'm worthy, I am safe, I'm okay, I can produce my own life jacket, right? Notice
there's ground under my feet. Like
exactly, absolutely. We are growing, we are building something of value and of worth. But that area of our life that is building can feel pretty scary right now, because we're so used to this very South Node Scorpio stuff kind of happening as well.
Right. I remember probably like a Wayne Dyer kind of a conversation. So I'm going to credit him with the analogy, even if it's not accurate, because it was in that school in that conversation. Like his thought of when we're healing, when there's a trauma, like we get in a lifeboat or a rowboat or canoe, we pick your boat.
Yeah.
We start heading across the river, and we do the things, like we do the healing things. We're on this healing journey, and we have to remember that we have a destination. We don't want to just like get halfway out and spin around. We don't want to get halfway out and rush back to comfort.
Right.
We have to like continue to the journey across and like actually bank the boat on the other side and get out.
Yes.
So what we might be feeling right now is the journey across the river in an
I would
absolutely
agree with that.
And then maybe the other side of the river could be something like November.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then our eclipses will change and the astrology changes, right? I mean, it's always changing.
The journey's not over,
right?
but
We're
it's
just this little
yes,
absolutely. So, as I was going through and teaching last week, we often, that South Node right now is in Scorpio. Scorpio is, the purging, the elimination of toxins. We've talked about it before, but I do, as well, kind of like focus on this liver stuff. And I went through and I was going, wow, look at what the kidneys do. And I really resonated with it because it talked about that the kidneys were a metaphor of vulnerability. And the other thing that I thought was pretty amazing and astonishing was that the chi that is in the kidneys, what you are born with is what you have.
Interesting.
They don't
recycle, like liver recycles.
Yeah, they talked about it like it's a battery and it's not a recharge battery.
Wow.
So we have to conserve the energy that we have.
Kidneys are fear.
Mm-hmm.
Kidneys also balance like your electrolyte in the blood chemistry, the chemistry of the blood. And so kidneys are often related to like the health of the heart and the brain, like our electromagnetic centers. So that's kind of interesting.
I found it interesting because I thought about when we feel emotionally drained or are stressed, right? And going towards, this North Node or the Taurus,
right on top.
yes, is the North Node Taurus part of our chart of nurturing our personal resources, nurturing our health, our bodies, right? So I just found that kind of interesting how it fits together. And the other thing is I'm studying a new course of astrology, and the teacher brought up about emptying our vessel, right? Emptying, purging, fasting, right? How we reset, right? And he brought in the topic of reflection, like how do we really know what's in our heart if we don't look there?
Oh,
How do we know that we're supposed to move forward if we don't take the time to really reflect?
that's so good.
On this North Node, right? On this journey forward that we're going.
Yeah.
So yesterday, in the midst of my meltdown, these are the things that I really thought about and really sat with going, you know what? I'm so stuck in this fear place that my heart knows intuitively where it needs to go. And I know my worth. This is really important, this Taurus part.
Mm-hmm.
It's knowing your worth, knowing your value, and not knowing it because other people tell you, or do you know what I mean? But really sitting with your heart.
And what do you need to do to claim that? What do you need to do to claim that? You need to be in the underbelly. You need to be fearful. You need to be angst. Yeah, so it's like, this could be like a cosmic lesson. And one of the things that is really interesting to me is pulling from micro to macro and back. Like what's happening for me versus what's happening for my community versus what's happening for the global community, what's happening to all humanity. Like to pull in and out of that and to see, like I'm connected to all of it, I'm not alone, I'm a participator, and I'm a contributor.
Yes.
So me finding my worth contributes to the advancement of humanity and humanity growing.
Yes, and I love that she said humanity because that's Uranian.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just like looking at it, like you
Yes.
said, from all different ways.
Yeah, Uranus being like the collective, kind of all of humanity getting the shock, all of humanity being asked to look inside and find their worth.
Mm-hmm.
And to take another step forward toward North Node destination, darn purpose. So every time we stand up for ourselves in any small way, like even if you stand up to yourself, which,
Yes.
which might be, no, I'm not going to treat my body like that. No, I'm not going to say that kind of thing to myself anymore.
Yes.
I'm just not. When that thought comes, I'm going to say thank you, no thank you, and just let it go and like really have compassionate respect and adoration for yourself.
Yes.
Wow, that'll get you across the river.
Yes. I think
Oh,
it
Lisa,
feels,
I have so much work to do.
it's just feel, well, I'm in my own body and in my own life right now. I feel it that I'm at this pivotal point, right? I can feel it. I can see it, but I can also feel it. So I did go through a rundown list, really quick, and so it is about the rising sign. So if you're,
So what is about the rising sign? Like individualizing this information. It's about
Yes.
knowing your rising
yes,
sign.
knowing your rising
Okay.
sign, it's a whole sign chart.
So let me just pitch in.
Just to kind of help us navigate a little.
So what is your rising?
I am a Pisces rising.
I'm an Aquarius rising. So you could look for a free natal chart reading and run that through, and it'll tell you what your rising sign is. And then come back through and listen again.
Mhm.
And you're gonna go through the list.
Yep, I'm gonna go
Okay.
through the list.
Okay.
I started with Taurus. So Taurus is gonna highlight the 1st and 7th house. Okay, so everything's stacking up, all these Taurus planets, the movement forward is stacking up in your 1st and 7th houses. These are the ones that are highlighted, right? Because these are highlighted by the nodes. The square is coming from, the square is important, it's kind of where, remember, I'm looking at the source of tension. If it's easy, the boat ride's not easy.
It's easy is pointless.
Right.
To tell you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
You
easy.
might get an easy day, but like overall.
So your square, right? Your Saturn square is coming from that 10th house. So is it about your reputation? Is it about, your where you're trying to go in your career, where you have maybe doubts of what you are or who you are, what you're putting forward? How is this career growth or status that you're trying to obtain not only affecting you, but affecting your relationships, right? Are you too worried about what other people think? Because remember, it's coming from that 7th house of others. So we're looking at, I'm hoping I'm doing this, explaining it well. We're looking at the 1st house, the 7th house. So this axis of me and you, and then where the tension is coming from the square.
Okay, so if you're Taurus rising, that was for you.
Mm-hmm. Your Geminis, we're looking at the 12th and the 6th. So we have this build up in the 12th house. The 6th house is going to feel that emotional kind of Scorpio release. Your square is coming from the 9th house. So it's about your belief system, right? Or even education, the big picture of life and where you feel stuck. Maybe you're questioning religion or not necessarily your purpose, but trusting your philosophies, your beliefs, your belief system.
Gotcha, that's Gemini rising.
Mm-hmm. Your Cancer, we're looking at the 11th and the 5th house. The square is coming from the 8th. So how is it that other people's money, other people's resources feel limiting to you when it comes to working with groups or having your own creativity? Okay.
That's Gemini rising.
That's Gemini. The Leo is now in the 10th and 4th, kind of holding in home and family and career. Your square is coming from the 7th. So again, is there a partner maybe feeling limited, or you have a sense of duty and responsibility around this marriage partner that is impacting where you want to go in your career, how things are at home, right?
Okay.
Things to look at.
Okay. Leo rising.
Leo rising. So the
Next
Virgos,
is Virgo.
the Virgos are the 9 and 3. So these are our education houses. These are again about beliefs, values, education, communication, writing. That Saturn square is happening from the 6th house. So what's happening in work, right? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to maybe make a different career choice, but you have to go to school and you're not sure about that? The Libra risings are going to be the 8th and the 2nd. So we are looking at money and resources. Our sense of security is happening. Your square is happening from Saturn in the 5th house. So is that about children? Do you have a child going off to school or a creative endeavor that you're not sure that you can financially kind of obtain? The Scorpio is the 7th and 2nd house. So your Saturn square is coming from the 4th house. So what family responsibilities are creating stress around marriage? Sorry, it's the 7th of the 1st with the Scorpio rising. So that sense of duty and responsibility around home, family, mother, creating that tension.
The tension on the journey.
The tension in the journey. Yep. The Sag rising is the 6th and the 7th, and you have a square in the 3rd. It's not the 6th and the 7th. Sorry. It is going to be the 6th and the 12th. Squares are 3rd. So again, it's this health, your daily routines, your daily life, bringing in communication, education, where you feel that source of tension. The Capricorn rising is the 5th and the 11th. Notice that they start to flip-flop as you go through the chart. So your creativity, your self-expression, your groups, you need to find new groups, right? Ones that value who you are, because that Saturn is in the 2nd house. Aquarian risings is going to be the 4th and the 10th. The square is coming from the 1st house, respectively. So it is about the responsibilities that you're taking on, right? Saturn's in the 1st house, so it's about you and how that is affecting the home and the family and career, where you want to go. The Pisces rising is happening from the 3rd and the 9th, with Saturn square in the 12th. So I was telling Tracy earlier, I am a Pisces rising, and I do have Saturn in the 12th, which is not amazing, and it's squaring my sun, which is also not amazing.
That's one day off. That's a meltdown.
So
Okay.
it's almost like I was telling her earlier that because it's the 12th house, it feels hidden. It feels as though, you know,
Push the purple thing back.
what I'm trying to obtain is just, it's not manifesting. It's just, it feels
It's not happening.
uncertain.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing?
Did you get Aries?
His name is Aries. I did miss Aries. So Aries would be,
Quick.
I know, right? No. So Aries would be
right,
the
yeah.
2nd. If you're an Aries rising, it'll be the 2nd and the 8th. Thank you. I have the chart right in front of me.
Well, usually would end at Pisces, but I
Yes.
started at Taurus.
Yeah,
so
I did.
I caught it.
So the Aries, so your square is coming from the 11th house. So the restriction then about your resources, where you're going, you know, maybe it is, you know, a new goal that you're kind of setting for yourself, right? Because the 11th house can't be goals for the future, and there's a financial component to it. So
There usually is though, when you're setting new goals.
right.
So there's a time component or a money component.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
money, yeah.
So this is where they are happening in your house system. If they are affecting your planets, your natal planets, that will alter things
Right, right.
always.
But it, like, I feel like even when she runs through that list, if there are questions that kind of hit me hot, like questions that make me say, ooh, and you know, then I know, be alerted to that, because even if it's not necessarily my rising, maybe there's a planet that's like putting that in front of me in my psyche. And the whole point of going through is just to find support and to stay in conversation and in inquiry of your experience. So even if, you know, the question that really speaks to you isn't the one that's for your rising,
right.
take it, work
Yes,
with it, work with it,
absolutely.
take it. Yeah.
And, you know, and as we work through, you know, as we work through the end of the week into August 1st, I do think that it's going to start foreshadowing what is kind of coming up during this eclipse.
Yeah.
And
There's always a big picture.
yeah, so
Lisa, I'm traveling on the 31st. I know, that's what I thought. When I saw it, I was like, ooh, but it was really well aligned. Like so many things really well aligned to do it. So it's like, it must be.
where's your Taurus buildup? Is that the 4th house?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it'll be interesting. So anyway, yeah, I feel like one thing that I'm inspired about when things get tense is coming back to my yoga practice. Like, I don't know how to really make it through life without meditation, and for me, mantra, but like without my practices, without coming to my mat, without taking that time. Like when you said, taking the time to reflect.
Yeah, you know, when he said it, I was like, wow. And I don't think his intention was to fit with this astrology. I mean, maybe it was, and he just didn't say anything.
No.
But I was like, wow, that really fits with it really fits with this, you know, as things are coming up and knowing your worth and taking the time and looking at your heart. And when you are in practice, and maybe in practice this week when you're in class, that's what your reflection is. What is at my heart? You know?
Hey, you know what I used to do is I would put a Post-it note and write my question and put it at the front center of my mat. And like I did that. The teacher didn't give that to us. I would just like took that as part of my practice. And I love it when I see people coming in with like particular gemstones that they'll lay next to their mat, or a certain mala that they'll have on and they'll like put in a really special, you know, arrange in a special altar way at the front of the mat. Like if there's a question that you're working on, just write it on a Post-it note and put it on your mat. Sometimes people will write on their mats, but you know, I don't know, I gotta think about that. Like, I'm like, if I write on it, it's always gonna be there. If I change my mind about it, but a Post-it note, no commitment.
Yeah, I do. I really like that. And, you know, if you do get swept away, you know, by the emotions or about the fear about where life is going or where the direction is going, and you feel like you're drowning and you feel as though, you know, there's no life jacket or that no one's going to understand, you know, Scorpio water, it's deep. You know, I had a teacher say that the Cancer water is up here, the Pisces water is in the middle, and the Scorpio water is kind of like, you know, it's dark. It's dark at the bottom of the ocean.
Cold.
And it's cold, right? So, you know, if you're feeling in that place, really reflecting on you know, your worth. It is really about your worth and what you are building, because we are building wherever that Saturn is. I think that it is obstructing and kind of feeling restriction in what we're actually growing and what we're moving towards. You know, like last time, Saturn can be kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, Saturn is small and he's got those rings, and you think of, what's that little, in Harry Potter, that little thing that flies around, they play.
I know exactly what it's called.
That's what I think of, like Saturn, like spinning around, just going right through things. And I mean, it can be super, super helpful, but it can also cause us to really have to work.
Yeah, for sure.
Paddle out there, the big water.
And one of the things that I love about yoga is, you know, and I think once you teach for a really long time, for myself, sometimes I forget why people come, right? And I do, like, honestly, I forget why people come. And then I remember why I come, because I need to come back here. So if you notice yourself needing that, I need to come back here this week, come to yoga, come to class.
And also, like, socially, just when you're here, introduce yourself to someone next to you or talk to us before or after class. Like, there's so much connection that can happen here. And it's like the kind of place that's no others. This isn't a workplace. We don't have another agenda going on for you.
Yeah.
All we do is provide safe space. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And this Friday night is our anniversary party,
which I'm so excited. I'm coming.
And there's a maybe on a couple surprises. So yeah, we have food. It's gonna be really good. We're gonna pull the raffle for the big basket out there. And I think it'll be, I mean, I'm getting all come to the top. Because I think it will really be a significant marker of achievement and connection for us with each other.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there are people that really have been so instrumental, like you, like really people so instrumental in what we've built here. Like, this wasn't where we were a year ago.
Right.
And where we are today compared to a year ago is all because of the people that have come to practice and to share and to be a part of the community. So I'm super, super excited about it. But Lisa's still offering the summer special in astrology.
Yes, ma'am, I am. Summer special. Still going strong.
Still going strong, still time to book with you.
Still time.
Yeah, and even maybe take a little bit overlay on personal natal chart and provide some real
The
individualized.
details.
Yeah,
The
the
details.
details of that advice.
Mhm. Details for sure.
Yeah.
Especially, like I said, especially if you're a Scorpio or a Taurus, or those fixed signs, but usually right now, and I've seen it in clients as well, they have that strong Scorpio, Taurus, and I'm definitely seeing a lot
Those
of
are the
influx.
that are really
Mhm.
coming. Yeah, stepping forward.
Yep. And then we're gonna notice, then we're gonna go backwards, right? So then it'll start to be, Libra and Aries, that will start to come.
That will cry. So. That's all I have coming. I get my turn too.
We all do.
Yeah.
We all
Like,
do.
you're so excited for this. So
Where's the giddiness?
Okay, so Lisa's email is underneath. You can always reach out to me at the studio if you'd like to connect with her. Come and see us, like, comment, share, be a part of, you know, the wheel that keeps turning and the love that keeps growing.
Yeah, and if we haven't met, come on the 29th. I will
For sure.
be here. I'm excited to practice and to celebrate.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
Thank
Stay
you.
friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.